Welcome to episode 241 of the Fabulously Keto Podcast. And today I'm welcoming back Casey Ruff. Apologies because Zoom keeps messing around with my microphone settings, so my voice is very soft in this recording and I hadn't noticed. I must remember to check the microphone in future. There still might be some episodes with bad sound. Casey was a guest on the podcast a few years ago, and when we were chatting recently on social media, I asked if he'd like to come back. I'm so glad he said yes. I always love talking with Casey. He's upbeat, positive, and full of energy. His enthusiasm is infectious, and he never fails to make me smile. And in this episode, we cover a whole range of topics from the power of real food and the simplicity of carnivore eating to movement, mindset, and finding joy in the process of getting healthier. We also swap stories about clients, duck eggs, and even cooking steak to perfection. It's a relaxed and inspiring conversation, and I hope you enjoy listening to it as much as I enjoyed recording it. Here's Casey's bio. Casey Ruff has been a certified personal trainer since 2007. He successfully ran a metabolic testing program for a large gym and oversaw 13 programs in the West region. He has multiple certifications as a personal trainer, lifestyle coach, and performance enhancement specialist. With his nutrition coaching certifications, he specializes in low carbohydrate lifestyles, including ketogenic and carnivore diets. He's helped thousands of clients over 17 years learn how to achieve their best lifestyle through movement, lifestyle management, and proper diet. Together with Bethany, they created Boundless Body LLC during the 2020 pandemic. He is the host of two podcasts, Boundless Body Radio, which has over 500,000 downloads worldwide, and the How to Make a podcast. He lives in South Jordan, Utah, with his wife Bethany and their dog Tucker and their cat Lily. In his free time, he loves to cycle, play hockey, and paddleboard. Let's go and hear from Casey. Welcome, Casey, back to the Fabulously Keto Podcast. It's fabulous to have you back with us.
Thank you so much. It's fabulous to be here with you again, Jackie. You look fabulous yourself. We had such a fun time chatting before, and I'm due to have you back on my show as well. So looking forward to that. But I'm definitely looking forward to this chat today.
Great. We sort of reconnected, and I said, "Well, what should we talk about?" So I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're just going to riff on some subjects and see.
Hey, that sounds great. I did have a question for you right off the bat. How is your personal training certification going? Is that still something that's ongoing for you?
Don't ask. I have been so busy with all sorts of things that I keep saying, and I've gotten somebody that's been through it has said to me, I asked her if I could use her as an accountability buddy to go back and just start again. And she said yes. And I haven't had time to say when we're going to do that.
Well, when we talked last time, it did sound like you had so much going on. So I get it. It's so unfortunate too, because it seems like your baseline knowledge is so high anyway. And through my career, I've been personal training for over 18 years now. And in that time, not one single person, not once, thousands of people I've trained, not one single person has asked to see my own certification. So it sits in a folder and has sat there for 18 years. And yeah, I mean, knowing what I went through as far as the certification, all the things you have to learn to pass off and qualify, it's quite a lot. You have to know anatomy and how exercises work on different muscles and different joints and all kinds of different stuff. And yeah, you think during your personal training career, you're going to use all that stuff, or people hiring me to make the best exercises, and they tell them the exact number of sets and reps and what the tempo should be and how to exactly hit their goals. And it was quite soon after I'd started that I realized that people really just need what you were mentioning, like a little bit of accountability. Lots of times they need somebody to talk to, they need to bounce ideas off each other. And yeah, I'm setting up exercises for people, and we're being mindful of certain things, but it's a lot less technical and a lot more like human connected than I think people realize. And yeah, knowing your baseline knowledge and know how good you are with people, you could be an excellent personal trainer if you started today, but you do have to get that baseline
Yeah.
certification first. And it's a lot of work. It took me months of hitting the books really hard to get mine. So justifiable. If you've got other things going on, that's okay to put that one on the back burner.
Yeah. And I got to the bit where you had to, what muscles are engaging when you do this exercise and all stuff like that. And it was like, oh, wow. And it wasn't clear. The stuff wasn't clear. And so, when you just put it aside and you think, I'll come back to it. And then
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
So
No, I get it.
I will get back to it. But I have had some other things going on. So
Hey, that's okay.
We'll do that first and then come back to it.
Yep, well, that will be fine. For the listener, if you're listening and not watching, when I asked the question, Jackie basically just kind of disappeared from the frame.
I hid behind my microphone.
Exactly. Where'd she go?
Oh, dear.
It is interesting too. So the work that my wife does is with helping people get out of pain. And so it's even body workers, when they hear the term of what my wife is trained in, they hardly even know what it is. It's a very esoteric kind of a field, and it's called the Rossiter system. If people are familiar with Rolfing, it's very similar to Rolfing, where the practitioner will apply part of their hands or their elbow or something on a person while the person moves through a certain stretch. So the only difference for what my wife does, my wife actually will stand on somebody using her foot and balance on like two basically like hiking poles, and she'll apply her foot in different places and people will go through different stretches. And as part of that, she has gotten to go to live cadaver courses where in groups of people, anybody can do this in America, but in groups of people, you get a frozen body of somebody who has just passed away, and they give you cadaver tools, and you can dissect humans that aren't preserved with any type of chemicals or anything like that. And it's a week-long thing, and by the time you're done with the week, the person that you have is pretty well all down to the bones, and they're very respectful of how they do it, and everything goes back in and they cremate the body and give it to the family. But hearing her accounts of what the body is actually like and how few muscle fibers we truly have was really shocking to me. And she showed me one video of like basically like a little strand in the quadricep that they had dissected down, and you pull it just a little bit and you see all the connections with not only that muscle, but how it connects all the way down from the knee down to the lower leg and actually like make the foot move. Wow. And you just realize we don't have as much muscle tissue as we would like to think, especially as a guy who wants to do only chest presses and bicep curls and think I've got a lot of muscle. We don't have as much of it as we think, but the way it's all connected through the body is absolutely just fascinating. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah. Well, the body, I think, is one of the most amazing things. Anybody, it could be a human body or a dog or a lion. It doesn't matter. The way that nature works and the way we're designed to heal, I just think is absolutely amazing. The problem is we get in the way of that and we stop stuff happening.
Yeah, we do. And I love that point. One of my favorite books is a book called Go Wild, which is written about a decade ago. And in that book, he makes the point that like we think that our brain is for remembering facts, quotes from funny movies or whatever, but we already have computers that know a lot more than we do. And this is 10 years ago. They know a lot more than we ever could. And computers, for example, can beat humans in chess, can beat our best chess players. And that would be, again, much better 10 years on now that we have AI as well. But the brain is actually for coordinating movement. And even just the simple things that we do, like watching through the screen where you just reached back, picked up a cup, moved it exactly to your mouth, took a drink, and put it all the way back. We do that all day, every day, and don't ever think about that's a pretty complex movement that you just pulled off. And like your body knew exactly which fibers to fire to pick up a cup or to punch somebody in the face. Like those are two different things, and that's what your mind is for. And yeah, I couldn't agree more as far as like the body's ability to heal and how we get in the way. And I mean, you and I have both been on this quest, especially with nutrition, also movement, but with nutrition to really discover all the stuff that we put in our food that keeps us sick. And a lot of that is what helps bring people to, ketogenic diets, low carbohydrate diets, carnivore diets, whether you believe it's the sugar, whether you believe it's the flour, the seed oils, the ultra processed food. A really nice advantage for a lot of low carbohydrate design diets is they're going to get you in a place where you're mostly consuming real whole foods. And I mean, you and I are so fortunate that we've been able to find this for ourselves, but also we get to coach people and help people along. And we're both so passionate about this that we also get to create content and put stuff out in the world to help share that message. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but several years into this way of eating and talking to people and hearing stories, I am not sick of hearing how people are healing their lives and the seemingly endless amounts of miracles that people go through when they start to adapt this. Is it makes every day just such a joy to jump out of bed and get to work and share this message.
Yeah, absolutely. I just onboarded a new client today who has gut issues, and I'm thinking this is going to be so cool because it could go completely wrong and not work, but I'm sort of thinking 3 or 4 weeks time he's going to be in such a different place. He's got inflammation in his joints, all that. I just know it's going to go away. It might take longer, it might take shorter. He doesn't want to rush into changing his diet, so we're just pulling out a few swaps, take out the gluten and swap the beer for the wine, and a few little things that we're just going to start with. But I just know that within a few weeks he's going to feel totally different.
Yeah, it's amazing. Whenever I ask somebody if they've watched such and such a show that I really like or whatever, and if they say, no, is it any good? And if it's one of my favorite shows, I always tell them, like, I am so jealous that you haven't seen it yet. If I could go back and unwatch it just to go watch it again for the first time to enjoy it again, I would love to do that. And I kind of feel that same way about your client. Like, you are on the edge of a journey that if you're willing to go on, is going to take you to a place where you don't even understand now how good you're going to be able to feel. Yeah. And so I guess another question, how do you think about, for somebody with digestive issues and somebody with joint issues, what are you thinking about things like fiber and especially things like vegetables? Where are you at with that?
If I had my way with him, I would take them out completely. But I don't think he's willing to go there yet.
Yeah.
So that's fine. One of his fears is that he's going to get constipated because he has in the past. So he has tried this way of eating. He was lacking in energy, so I suspect he wasn't eating enough fat, and he had constipation issues. Now, was it really constipation? I don't know. Or was he just producing less waste? That's a big difference, isn't it? Are you uncomfortable and feel like you need to go to the bathroom, or are you fine and you're just going to the bathroom less? So I think they're two different things.
Yeah.
So we're putting in place I've got some backup for him, but if he does feel like he's constipated, I've explained the difference. And so all that just gets put into place. And I think once he's done that and he's been feeling that it's okay, he might let go of the vegetables for a period of time to see how he feels.
Yeah. I love that approach. I think that's very wise to always meet your clients where they are and what they're willing to do. And I agree, as much as I want people to, at some point of their life, experience what it's like to be on a carnivore diet and see, did you like the vegetables or did you like the salt and the butter and everything else that came with the vegetables that your body probably really wants. But so I think that's a really good plan to, like, let's focus on whatever he's willing to do, focus on getting more of the fats and the proteins and start to take away some of those inflammatory components. And I'm not sure, has Amy Berger ever gone to one of the low carb conferences in the United Kingdom?
No, I'm going to say not as far as I know.
Okay. She was just in Las Vegas. I've probably said this 50 times on my podcast as she said this on stage. I'm definitely stealing this from her. And this was her whole presentation. Like, we, in this space, you've been in the space for a while. I've been in the space for a while. And it's fun to talk about LP little a and LDL cholesterol numbers and lean mass hyperresponders and measure our ketones. And that's all really fun. And we can study that stuff and speculate on that stuff. And we kind of forget that most people out there, they're just trying to do a little bit better. And I love the way that Amy said it. Her whole message is keto without the crazy and keeping things really simple. And she said, like, look, the point of a keto diet, the point of a carnivore diet is not to make your life worse. It's not to make you hate what you have to do. It is to make your life better.
Yeah.
If this doesn't make your life better, then why are you doing it? Why are you measuring all these things and worrying about all these things? Like, you don't really need to do it. This is for your own benefit. And so, yeah, if he's willing to, again, cut out some of those inflammatory foods, he's going to have a rough week or so or whatever. But if you're there encouraging him and telling him, like, hey, this is like the travel portion of a trip to an amazing beach location, and the travel portion is not that fun, and you have to wait to check your bags, you've got to stand in line, you got to go through security, you have to take these stupid flights and have these layovers and all these smelly people, but then eventually you're going to make it to Bali, or for example, and it's going to be worth it when you get there. And as long as people understand that there's a bit of a journey, but also that it's repaying you as you go, you are feeling better. I mean, you and I talked, about you and your own personal story, and you started finding some of the low carbohydrate stuff mostly for weight loss, and it's just such a short period of time that it's like, yeah, we'll get there. Like, I'm not in a rush to lose weight. I feel great, and I can go paddleboard in Turkey like you did last year or 2 years ago with your kids, and like you're having so much fun doing this. And I think I brought this up last time, and I'll bring it up again. Like, there's just such a small number of people, when you think about it, that can go and have memories of paddleboarding with their kids in Turkey. And since you changed your diet and decided to try this, you got to go have that experience. And like, I'd be willing to bet if I said, hey, I'll give you $1 million to not have that memory anymore, you tell me to shove it. And like, that's what makes life fun. So I think that's a really cool approach with him. I wish him a lot of luck, and I hope he sees a lot of great benefits and is willing to continue on his journey.
Yeah, me too. So I have great hopes for him because he's tried low carb before. He knows that he can lose weight with it. So now we just need to address the niggles, the joint pain, the gut issues. The gut heals really quickly. My experience with clients, within a few weeks, it heals. So
I agree. It's pretty remarkable. Yeah, depending on where he's coming from and how much he wants to get into the diet, it doesn't take long for the niggling things, like you said, is a great way to say it. Those tend to all just kind of get better. It's funny too, I'm sure you've noticed this, that you don't always notice it when it's happening. It's always like a month later and you're like, oh, why don't I have plantar fasciitis anymore? Or what happened to my athlete's foot that I always used to have? Or my skin smells better. It's just weird things that people notice. And it's almost like in hindsight, like, how come I don't have the hiccups anymore? It's just like weird little things that people notice afterwards, after they're gone.
Yeah. Actually, I had plantar fasciitis before I went low carb. And that is one of the things, I'd forgotten that I had it, but I did used to get it. And yeah, I don't get it anymore.
Yeah. It's amazing. I hear that story all the time. And I hear that's one of the more miserable things that a lot of people have to suffer with. And yeah, just if you're eating the right things, you're focusing on fats and proteins, the whole body, like you said, just heals. And yeah, it's cool to think that not just the gut, but also the joints, the brain fog kind of lifts. You lose fat really well. You're able to get some muscle and maintain that really well. Like, all the amazing things that go along with it just, again, points to, we have a species specific diet. If you fed, Michelle Hearn talks about this all the time. She's got turtles and she's got dogs, and the dogs eat the dog food and the turtles eat the turtle food. And if you switch that up, they would be very sick. And that's kind of what we've done with our own diets, and we're paying the price for sure.
Yeah. And with our pets.
Yes, exactly.
Not that I have any pets, but I say 2 boys and a husband is enough.
That is plenty. You can call your husband a pet. That's fine. Yeah, it's like the saying goes, the only things that get fat are humans and the things that humans feed. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing that he mentioned to me, because this is just topics that people might be interested in, was he said, do I need to get any pee sticks to measure ketosis? And I said, no. One, they're not very reliable once you start making ketones, and the other is, do you really need to get into ketosis? I don't know, maybe not. Let's just go with where we're going and see, and maybe further down the line you decide that you do. But some people get by perfectly fine on a low carb diet.
Totally. Yeah, no, I love that point. I would probably answer in that same direction of like, is there a point, do you have to be in ketosis? And so, like, if you came to me and said you wanted to reverse bipolar, I'd say like, yeah, okay, this is going to be really important that you achieve this, result with metabolic psychiatry. We want to flood the brain with lots of ketones. We might be using a meter and we might be checking it frequently and, trying to drive it up as much as we can. That's where, going out of your way to eat a lot of fat versus just eating the fat that comes with the protein already might be warranted for some people. But yeah, for most of us, it's not necessarily part of our goal. I mean, I've been on a ketogenic diet for what, 8 years now, and I've been carnivore for 6 years. And I have checked my blood ketones one time, and that was because I was at a conference and I wanted to see how a keto mojo worked. So I don't really care. It doesn't really make a difference to me. I know just based on my physical feeling and especially like my mouth feel, I can tell when I'm in ketosis because it definitely has a different feeling. But yeah, the P sticks are interesting. The funny thing is, if he like say he really wanted to track, so he's doing it for that specific reason, or maybe he's just into data, maybe he just wants to see numbers and that kind of thing, or maybe just validation in the beginning that like, yeah, you're on track, you're doing this. The ironic thing about the P strips is that they do work pretty well in the beginning. So if he were to do it, the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks would be the time to do it if you wanted. What happens is when your body gets into this state of ketosis after being in a state of carbohydrate burning for so long, your body starts reducing the amount of sugar in the body, and then it has to start getting its energy from somewhere, so it starts increasing the fat that it burns. And that's where we get ketones. Ketones are the byproduct of that, and they become a water soluble fuel that can travel around and fuel the heart, can fuel the brain, which is great. We know that the brain doesn't run on fat. And so if it's not running on glucose, it's got to run on something. And so our body can just shift into this amazing state of using ketones. But again, for somebody who's never been in the state of ketosis or just very rarely, the body doesn't know what to do with all these things that it's making. And it's like, well, okay, we've got a lot of this stuff, but we don't know what to do with it. So not only are you making a ton, but you're not using very many. And so you have to get rid of it. And that's why P sticks work really well in the beginning, is because you're peeing out acetyl acetate, you're breathing out acetone. Those are just some of the waste products. But then over time, that equalizes, right? You start making less ketones and you start using them more. So you're wasting less out of the urine. And that's what makes the P sticks not work.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly what I told him.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, if somebody really wanted to, it's inexpensive and it's fine. But I like the way that you approached it with him by saying like, this is not a game of like who's in the most ketosis, who's in the deepest state of ketosis. It's about healing and that sort of thing. So if there's a reason you want to, fine, but you really don't need to.
Yeah, and that's my approach. So I had a different client who was so sick, and she just needed to be carnivore, mostly carnivore, because she was so ill. But we went there straight away. But I wouldn't do that normally with somebody who's just doesn't have any major health issues.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
you have to tailor it to each person.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, we just mentioned like your approach of working with your clients. If you set the bar really low and get one little change and they're able to be successful with it, guess what? They're going to be more motivated to try something again and something again and something again versus shooting really, really high and failing and feeling like a failure. You're more likely to just go back and keep doing what you were doing before.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's been happening in your world? Anything different? Anything new?
Oh, so yeah, we just passed 6 years on a carnivore diet. I like to tell people that I think of a carnivore diet as at least 75% or more of their calories from animal products. That's how we define a hypercarnivore in nature. So whether somebody is very strict or not, it's kind of up to them and people can find out and test things. But I do consider that to be a carnivore diet, mostly animal products in the diet. And then if other things make it in, that's totally fine. But yeah, I've done 6 years of that. I tend to need to be on the stricter side. So, we've kind of talked about this before, but it's just harder for me to moderate. A few weeks ago, my wife and I, the weather was terrible and it was Friday and we were done with work. And I just, for whatever reason, I'm like, you know what? I want a pizza. I'm just going to eat a pizza. And so I checked my order history and I had not ordered a pizza since 2023. So it had been over 2 years. So order a pizza. We ordered one called the Mountain of Meat. So at least it's got like tons of cheese and lots of meat toppings on it. And we get it. And, my wife has a slice or two and I have 2 or 3. and I'm full. I feel fine, and I don't want to eat anymore. So I have another piece of pizza. And then it's like, well, now my stomach's kind of hurting. Like, I guess I'll have another piece of pizza. So I ate another one. And then it's like there's only one left. There's one slice of pizza left. It's quite a big pizza. And I can't throw it away. I don't know what it is. I can't just like think like I had my pizza, I got my fix. Like, I'm good. And
Yeah.
I kept eating and I almost threw up that night. And it was just 2 days of like, it's not the worst, but your cravings come back. Crappy food sounds really good, stuff that normally doesn't tempt me. I play ice hockey once a week. And I remember not only like physically was I not like as quick as I normally was, but I'm making uncharacteristically stupid decisions. Um,
Ah,
Giving the
interesting.
puck away and just I'm not as sharp. I'm not as mentally sharp. And it's like, is it the worst in the world? Like, no. Like I got better. I just fasted all day and went back to eating steak, and yeah, it was fine, but just for those 2 days you just don't feel optimally, and when you have felt optimally in the past, it's just less desirable to do that to yourself. And so unfortunately for somebody like me, I have to really abstain. I don't coach everybody that way, certainly. And I mean, it even for me comes down to things like eating fruit. Like if I have fruit, I don't think fruit's the worst thing in the world, but 20 to 30 minutes later after eating a piece of fruit, I want a candy bar. I want something that's not fruit, and I'm very hungry. Like normally in a normal day, like today, it's 2 p.m. I've had all my clients. I've walked around the neighborhood a little bit. I did a little bit of strength training, and I have not eaten all day. And I, can feel in my stomach that I should eat at some point. But you can just fast all day, and it's so easy. Um, but yeah, if I threw a piece of fruit in the middle of that, it would kick off the sugar up and down, and I would be very very hungry, and I would want again more fruit, or I would want granola bars, or I'd want other things that would really throw me off my plan and make me not feel optimally. So unfortunately, I think of myself as a little bit more of an abstainer. I know you can moderate a little bit better, and I'm very jealous, which is great. Um, but yeah, I've not gotten sick of the diet, so that is certainly not something that's new. Um, and then, I actually something stood out of our last conversation that you mentioned, which was workout snacks. And I kind of remember thinking about that and thinking about how I could incorporate a little bit more strength training into my life without it being, um, you know, dedicated workout time where I'm spending like 30 minutes in a gym or 20 minutes in a gym or whatever it is. And so I have kind of evolved a little bit more into that, where if I'm, waiting at a gym facility for a client to show up and they're 5 minutes late, I'm just going to go do maybe 2 sets of exercise. I'm going to do that same kind of super slow stuff that we talked about, moving weight very slowly, but doing something very, very challenging to the point that like, I'm just right to the edge of what my muscles can tolerate. And I might do, a seated row and maybe a shoulder press. And that might be it. And I might just check those two movements off in my brain as saying, like, okay, for this week, I've done those things. I feel like I took myself very close to failure. The movement was very intense. I feel good about that. And so I've been doing a little bit more of that, which has been really nice because I can't remember really the last time that I went to a gym and did a dedicated like 20, 30-minute workout. You could just put it in here and there and then make it really convenient. And so that's something that's been a little bit new and something I've been thinking about a little bit differently. But other than that, we still have our business. We still train people in person. We train people virtually. We do nutrition coaching with them. And then my wife works with people generally who are in pain or want to move better. We have people that come here to the house to see her, and she's a magician. She's really, really good at what she does. And we get a lot of people that have seen physios, chiropractors, physical therapists for a long time and not seen any results. And within usually a session or two, Bethany can really help them get out of pain. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing is just kind of the same and maintaining. And we're very fortunate to have really good, happy lives and have a good business. So it's been nice.
And as we're talking, I just realized I didn't say, where in the world are you? And because I can see you're in exactly the same place as when we last spoke,
That's true.
sitting on
I
your
forgot about the
floor
signature question. Yep, I am on my floor. That's where I am in the world.
in Utah, I guess.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. We still so we live in a basically it's a suburb of Salt Lake City. So it's about a half-hour drive to get to downtown Salt Lake City. And it's just in a suburb. It's called South Jordan. And inside this suburb is a neighborhood called Daybreak. And that's where I live. It's a really cool neighborhood. Since we last talked, we actually built a second lake. And so I've got extra places to do my paddleboarding now. And we also built a pretty nice professional baseball stadium. So earlier this week, I got to walk about 30 minutes from my house and go to a baseball game, which is kind of fun, and walk back. And so that's our little neighborhood here. And yeah, just here I am sitting in the second bedroom again, just on the floor here in South Jordan, Utah.
So I want to go back to, because you said I'm carnivore and I eat 75% of my food from animal products. Now I've been sort of thinking I'm not really carnivore anymore, because I will sometimes have, so the things that have crept back in, because I was just totally animal products, like 100%, other than my tea or coffee. I was like 100% carnivore. But I just kept dropping the ball on that a bit. And so little things have crept back in. So I wanted to ask you, what sort of things are not animal products that you will eat and you will include in your diet?
Great question. And I just want to say too that when I say 75% or more, of your calories coming from animal products, I like to use that as a definition, just as it's used in nature as a definition of a hypercarnivore, just for the fact that we don't have to get too caught up in, like you mentioned, feeling like I'm not a carnivore because half an onion snuck into a burger patty or something. So I use that as a definition. That's certainly not the way that I approach it. I've got to be, I don't track very often, but mine's got to be 90 to 95%. I'm fairly strict. Outside of coffee, I'll do coffee in the mornings. I'm kind of take it or leave it with coffee. There's days that I don't have it and it's like, I'm fine. Frankly, I do the coffee in the morning more for the things that come with it. So I still do bulletproof style coffee in the morning, where I'll blend in my coffee with maybe a tablespoon of butter and maybe a tablespoon of MCT oil, and I'll put salt in my coffee as well.
That's exactly
And yeah, it's good. I just love it. And yeah, I feel like I get the mental benefit less from the caffeine and more from the fats that come in that. And I like that kind of routine. So that would be one food that I feel okay with. But yeah, again, I wouldn't want somebody like you to feel like, oh, I'm not eating a carnivore diet, or Sean Baker's going to kick down the door and beat me up for eating broccoli here and there. I get annoyed. I don't see this as much anymore, which is nice, but I get annoyed when you go to a carnivore page and somebody spies an avocado on somebody's plate and freaks out that the avocado didn't come from animals. Like, yeah, no kidding. I think we knew that avocados didn't come from animals. Thanks for pointing that out. We can be a little bit more friendly and accepting. So yeah, so the coffee, the MCT oil technically is a plant food that comes from coconut and coconut oil. I love that. Again, if anything, for like the mental benefit. I don't have this all the time, but the rare guacamole or avocado, maybe once or twice a week, will kind of make it in. Sometimes that's good with eggs. Earlier this week I did like a taco meat because it was on sale at the store, and that had like chopped up a few onions in it and a few peppers in it. And as long as I don't have too much of that kind of thing, I do fine with it. So yeah, I did that the other night and mixed in some guacamole with that. Again, I think for most people, something like white rice is pretty benign. Depending on your mode of preparation, maybe some potatoes for some people. You got to worry about the oxalates when it comes to potatoes, and that can definitely be overdone. Fruit, I think, can be pretty benign for some people. The problem with fruit, of course, is that it can be very high sugar. The fruits that we had evolved with were, first of all, extremely seasonal, and second of all, look absolutely nothing like the fruit that we have today, like not at all. And so, yeah, for somebody like me that's more of an abstainer, the fruit ends up kicking off the sugar cravings, and it's just, again, it's not the worst, but it's just better avoided. I don't miss it that much, and it's fine to not have it. But yeah, other than that, I don't have a ton of variety in my diet, which I find quite common with a lot of carnivores. One thing that is new since the last time we talked is, have you seen Dr. Baker's videos on social media where he's cutting a steak, and usually a different video will be playing? Either he might be making fun of a vegan, or he might be like having part of an interview that he's done with somebody who's animal based. Have you seen any of those videos?
No, I haven't been on social media much recently.
Oh, let me tell you, you're not missing anything, by the way.
I know.
I'll be,
I'm trying to save my sanity and stay off of it.
when there's something to miss on social media, I'll be the first one to call you and say like, "Hey, Jack, you gotta get back on social Twitter. You have to. You're missing out. This is amazing." Yeah, you're not missing out. Anyway, Sean Baker puts out these videos, and in this video, he's got a really nice cutting board. He's got a giant chef's knife that just looks cool, and he's cutting into this giant steak. And watching these videos, I don't care about the stuff he's talking about really, and I don't really get into like making fun of vegans, but the steak itself was like perfect, and it's perfect every time. And I'm like, I got to figure out how this dude is making a steak. I want to make steak like that. And so it's a type of a grill that works on propane, but it's open in the front, and the heating element is on the top facing down. There's basically like shelves that you can move up and down to get the food as close to the flame as you want. And it literally, when it lights up, is shooting out flames out of the front and all over the top on this thing. And so what you get with this is this like perfect sear on whatever food you want, especially on a steak. And so what I'll do now is I'll take a big batch of vacuum sealed steak. So I'll buy my meat in bulk, whether I, get it at a discount place or I buy like the entire roll and cut it up into individual steaks. I vacuum seal them. And then I use a sous vide, which is basically like a tank of water and a thing that sits in it that circulates water to a certain temperature. So that can cook internally my steak perfectly from all the way frozen to 118 degrees exactly. And then I put those in the fridge. And whenever I'm hungry, I just take it out. I warm it back up in the sous vide, just get it back up to temperature. And then I take it outside where I've got this flame shooting grill. And I have perfect steak every single night. Like I'm telling you, for over a year, like perfect crust, perfect doneness on the inside, perfectly consistent, better than a steakhouse. That has been something new that I've done, and I'm just so happy eating the beef cooked perfectly to the way that I like it, dipped in butter. I might have some like low sugar sauce with that, but that's about it. So yeah, for my carnivore diet in particular, I keep things a little bit more on the strict side, but as a definition, I like the 75% so that people don't feel, like you mentioned, like feeling like, oh, I'm not a carnivore anymore because I decided to have a banana or I ate something at a birthday party.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Because the things that have crept in with me are like pickled cucumbers.
Okay.
The mustard, well, I'll have with my steak. Sometimes, what I like doing is I get what you would call ground beef and we call mincemeat, and I just fry it over, and I might put in a little bit of onion sometimes, but some mushrooms and some chili peppers.
Yum.
And then just really fried over so it's quite crispy. I quite like that.
That sounds really good.
That'd be my dinner. I won't have anything with it. Might have a bit of cheese with it or something.
That sounds really good. I was actually watching a cooking video recently that talked about the proper way to cook ground beef, and they said something that you just mentioned. Like most of you, when you cook, ground beef or minced beef, you're steaming your ground beef because all the water that's coming off of it, you're not letting it sit in the pan long enough to actually get crispy. And so I've been trying to play with that and be a little bit more mindful about that, because I look at it and it gets brown and I think like, okay, this is done. I'm missing out on like the really good texture on letting it cook a little bit longer and getting all the moisture out of it. So it sounds like you're doing it the right way. That sounds absolutely delicious.
I just discovered it a few weeks ago, and I call it my messy mince.
I love it. Messy mince. I love it. That's great. I did forget one thing. I will also a few nights a week, not always, but sometimes for whatever reason after dinner, it just sounds really good. I'll have either sauerkraut or kimchi. Something about like the ferment kind of flavor sounds really good to me, and I'll have a few bites of that. Usually not much, just a few bites, but I'll do that a few nights a week as well, and that seems to go just fine.
You make your own, or do you buy it?
I buy it. Costco around me has the bigger containers, and they're quite good, and not a lot of like crappy ingredients that I can see. One is just like a raw kind of naturally fermented sauerkraut. I've made sauerkraut in the past and it's fine, but it's kind of a pain. So just for convenience, I'll just buy it in a big container. And yeah, just a few bites for me goes a long way, but that's another plant food that I found to be very benign, relatively safe for me. So that would be one more.
Yeah. Well, it's not sweet, is it? And it helps with the gut bacteria, I guess.
Yeah, I guess covers the basis for gut bacteria, but yeah, no cravings after that. Whether it helps digestion, maybe not, I don't know, but I don't have any problems, so having a little bit of that is just fine for me.
Yeah, and it brings in that crunch so me having the pickled cucumbers, I guess, is that crunchy. And
That's yeah,
I found ones that are not too sweet, so they're more sour.
got it.
Um,
Yeah, that sounds good. When you said that, that's what made me remember about it. So yeah, that would be also something for a lot of people would be totally benign.
yeah.
Were there any other vegetables that you stepped away from that you miss, or are you like most other carnivores where like especially like raw vegetables, like is there still much desire for a lot of raw vegetables besides like maybe like a side salad on a hot day or something like that for that crunch?
So interestingly, the vegetable that I have gone back to more than anything, do you have what we call sugar snaps, which are like the peas in the pod?
Yeah.
I eat those raw, and I really struggle. I can go to the fridge and pick out a few, and I think I'll just have a few, but then I'm go back and have a few more. So that I
Yeah.
really like raw. I actually, I think listening to Anthony Chafee about plants are toxic for you, plants are gonna kill you. I really struggle with eating vegetables now. It's like, do I really want that? Maybe not.
Is
So
it a mental thing or is it like you've lost the taste and
it's
lost
a
the flavor
mental
for it?
thing. It's a
Okay.
mental thing of, do I really want this? Mm, yeah. And the other thing that you said, it's using it as a vehicle to put butter on.
Totally. Totally.
So if a vegetable hasn't got butter on, I'm not going to eat it.
Yeah.
So and I think that was my issue previously when I ate vegetables was, oh, I can have lots of butter on it. And
Yeah.
now I just will just have butter on its own, or I'll put butter on meat or whatever it is. I
Yeah.
feel like I don't need the vegetables. So if my son is eating at the same time and he is cooking some vegetables, I might have one or two pieces of broccoli, but chances are I won't have any. I don't feel like I need it.
Yeah.
So
That's very common. And I love challenging people when they say, like, well, I don't know if I don't want to do carnivore because I love my vegetables too much. And I'll say, well, first of all, like, you don't have to do carnivore if you don't want to. But if you're thinking about it, like, really, do you really love the vegetables? Do you walk around with a raw bag of broccoli that you just like kind of snack on and you'll just like pop broccoli florets in your mouth? Or are you cooking that up in bacon grease and salting it up and putting sunflower seeds with it? Like most people think they love vegetables when, like, yeah, like we said, like it's all the things that come along with vegetables. And I love Dr. Chafee. He's one of my favorite people. He's one of my favorite people to hang out with. And I like to take his, plants are trying to kill you and tweak it just a little bit. I like to say not so much that plants are trying to kill you, but that plants are trying to protect themselves. Plants don't really care about us so much. And I've never seen like a batch of Brussels sprouts, creeping in with a knife to try to stab me. But they are trying to protect themselves. And they have that desire that every living creature has, which is to live and not to die and not to be eaten. And whether that humans or rodents or insects or bacteria, like they have their own needs and they create compounds that are for their own benefit, and they can build up in people and they can cause a lot of problems. So yeah, I like to just take Dr. Chafee saying and tweak it a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
certainly. I
rather
mean,
extreme, but you know, I get it that
yeah,
there are all these things in plants, so they're not as benign as we have been led to believe.
right,
Um,
right. And that's why I asked you the question about the guy with digestive and gut. My brain goes to the same place that yours goes. Is it could be all the inflammatory crappy food, from ultra processed foods. It could be from oxalate. You could be having a guy who thinks like spinach smoothies are the best and having lots of potatoes is really good with, lunch and dinner, and like specifically gut and, joint issues. My brain's going to go to oxalate, and I wonder if, that's an accumulation of, again, a compound that the plant is using for itself and is using to protect itself that could be causing a problem for him. So that's why I asked the question to begin with.
yeah, it is a place that I have mentioned that he might need to go there.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the first port of call.
I
Let's be
agree.
Take out
Yeah.
the gluten, take out the wheat, take out most of the grains, and take
Huge
out the
step.
beer,
Yeah.
and
Huge step.
then let's just see.
Yep.
And maybe he does need to do more. I don't know.
There you go. I love it. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good point.
But yeah, in my head, that's where I am as well.
Yeah.
That he's probably going to need to take them all out.
At some point, but you're right. It is a journey. You don't need to. I wouldn't lead with that. Like you said, just get some of these other things out, replace them with some of these other things. I think and yeah, I'll be curious to get your opinion on this, but I think that we don't do a good enough job just identifying the good things that people are already doing and say, like, just do more of that. Like maybe people are on the weekends making themselves omelets and making omelets to their family. You're doing that. That's really good. Do you notice that on a weekend when you make an omelet, that you can almost skip lunch and you don't even really think about it? Like, do more of that. That's your clue. And like, maybe somebody already has eliminated the bun from their burgers, and you can just say, like, hey, awesome, it's a lettuce wrap burger, do more of those. Like, there's a lot of good things that people are doing, and just highlighting the fact that we're just doing the habits you're already doing, we'll just do them more, is a great place to start.
Yeah. And he's eating fatty meat, he's eating lamb. We have lamb here, which is very fatty. He's eating the chicken thighs and not the breast. So he's already doing a lot of the stuff.
Great.
He does go to restaurants a lot for lunch, which is not so great because there will be seed oils. But again, it's not going to be my first port of call. Let's do one thing. And I did mention that, be aware that in restaurants they're using seed oils. Maybe you don't want to do as much restaurants as you are doing.
Great point. I love it. Yeah.
So yeah, he's eating the right things, but then he says he takes his kids to football, whatever, and he comes home and then he's eating rubbish in the evening.
Yeah.
But if he cuts out the wheat first, we can work on that.
And yeah, absolutely.
He's got a bit of an intolerance to eggs.
Oh.
So we're trying to avoid eggs and dairy at the moment.
Yeah.
But when his gut heals, maybe we can reintroduce them. Maybe we
can absolutely
introduce part of the egg, whether that's the white or the yolk. We need to test it.
Yep.
We'll see.
I did a food sensitivity test several years ago, and the only two things that came back red were egg yolks and egg whites, which made me very sad at the time because it was before I was keto, but it was after the time that I was embracing fat and protein in my diet, and I was eating a lot of eggs, and so that was a huge bummer. But I found that, even again, pre-keto, I cut them out. I kept them out for a while, and it was annoying, but I got used to it. And then 6 months later, I started dabbling with them again, and they were fine. And since that point, I've not had any problem whatsoever with them. So yeah, it may be just something temporary. That is something I see quite a bit with eggs in particular, is if you do have a sensitivity, you might not have it for forever. Maybe it's just something you're doing temporarily.
Exactly. And I found, I don't know if you've noticed as well with clients that come that say, I'm intolerant to cow's dairy. I find that they can reintroduce that back in as well.
Yeah, agree. Agree 100%.
Healed themselves a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely notice that for sure.
So shall I tell you about my egg story?
Yes, of course.
So where I live is very rural. We're only 3 miles from a town, but where we are, there's nothing. There's no buses, nothing, absolutely nothing. And so a lot of our neighbours have chickens, and there's a lady a bit further down the road, round the corner, and we were talking a couple of years ago, and I said I'd really like to have some local eggs, not from the supermarket. So she was phoning me up and saying, I've got some eggs, would you like some? And I go and buy them from her. And so last year I was going through like 18 eggs a week, just me eating 18 eggs a week. But she started to include in each 6-pack a duck's egg. And I had this one duck egg and 2 chicken eggs mixed together, and I had some sardines. I was so ill, really, really ill. I had to lay on the couch. I felt sick. I threw up. I went to bed. It was terrible. A few weeks later, I do exactly the same thing, and I'm ill again. And since then, I can't touch a scrambled egg. I can eat fried eggs, but not loads. So now a dozen eggs will last me 2 or 3 weeks because
Oh, wow.
I can't eat that many. So
Wow.
I can't eat eggs at the moment because it really made me so ill.
Wow.
And I think it's just the duck's egg.
Wow. Okay. Can I trade egg stories with you?
Sure. I'd love to hear your egg story.
So see if you notice any similarities. So I'm in my neighborhood and I'm talking with a neighbor and I'm saying, I wish I could get some local eggs around here. And she messages me and says, hey, we've got chickens. Do you want these eggs? And so I walk over to her house, grab the eggs. She's also like, hey, we also have ducks now. Would you like to try duck eggs? I'm like, sure, why not? I mix them in, I mix them together, did exactly the same thing that you did. Duck eggs are quite big. I had no idea how big they are. And since we have that lake and there's nothing to control the duck population around here, we have way too many ducks, like so many ducks everywhere. So eating a few of their eggs, probably a good idea. But the first time I did it, I mixed it in and it was great. I had no problem. So I did it again. And this time I cracked an egg and the eggshell slipped and it went into the egg mixture. And I was like, what's the worst that could happen? So I take the shell out, scramble them up, and I was so sick. So sick. Laying around, stomach cramps, sweating profusely. I threw all of it up just like you. And I did it again a few nights later. This is just like a few weeks ago. This is very recent. I'm so glad you shared this story. I did it a few nights later and was a lot more careful and kind of washed the eggs. And I still did not feel that great eating them. And I had just thought maybe it was the eggshell that fell in. And then I just needed a little bit more time without eggs. But getting sick the second time, is there something to duck eggs that can make people sick? Because
maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm just intolerant to them. I don't know.
A very weirdly similar duck egg story that is very time relevant for me because again it was just like a few weeks ago, so very funny. Not funny at the time.
No, it wasn't funny. I felt so ill. And
Ugh.
this was last summer. And so a few weeks ago I thought, oh, I'll make some scrambled eggs. And I made the scrambled eggs and I thought, you know what, I'll put some cheese in it and some cottage cheese and that'll be different. And as I'm cooking the eggs, I'm thinking, I cannot eat this. Cannot eat it. And so I did have a little bit, but most of it I gave to my son, who's also off eggs at the moment.
Oh wow.
And I physically, as I'm cooking it, I'm thinking I won't be able to eat it.
Can't do it.
No.
Eggs are like that for some people. It's very interesting.
Yeah. But I'm fine with fried eggs.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, it could be a texture thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, that's an unexpected duck egg story exchange.
So
Thank
we'll
you
have
for
to ask
sharing.
the listeners to let us know if they've had a similar
Yes, please write us in.
duck egg incident.
Yes.
So, anything else we need to talk about this evening, this afternoon?
Oh boy. I don't think I've got anything. This is another really fun conversation. I had a really good time just kind of chatting back and forth about certain things, and hopefully this is helpful for people out there. It's hard, it's hard to make diet changes. And as I said earlier, I really believe that making the diet changes should make your life better. It should enhance your life. And, hopefully that does that for people and they take their diet to whatever degree of severity or strictness, that they can tolerate and makes them happy. At the end of the day, that's the point of all of this. And yeah, I think about, again, the person that you just did your consult with. He's very fortunate to have come across your work and thinking about what his life could be and thinking about comparing that to you and again paddleboarding with your kids a few years ago and creating amazing memories and living a really full life. It's just such fun work that we get to be involved in. I think that's why we're so passionate and happy to share this message. So I'm just so grateful to be back on your show again, and grateful for all of your work, and thank you so much for a really fun chat.
Thank you. So how can people contact you and find your
The easiest place to find everything is our website, which is myboundlessbody.com. The website has everything, all of our social media. It has the podcast there. You can also search the podcast on any podcast player at Boundless Body Radio. Our YouTube channel is there. I release a YouTube video every single day, either a full interview from the podcast or maybe a shorter interview taken from a podcast. Last year, I decided to teach a seminar in the summertime in a park nearby my house.
Oh, yeah.
And invited anybody. And so that was 14 or 15 different lessons that we talked about. And All of the material from that is on the website, including the videos, all the printed materials, meal plans, the outlines with references. So all of that people can find on the website. And then the big thing that we like to say, like the number one thing, and the first thing you see is there's a book now button on the homepage, which if you click, will show you available times in your time zone to meet with me. And that's a complimentary half-hour session if you want to chat, if you want to do a workout together virtually from any part of the world. We love meeting people and saying hello with people and getting to know people in the community. So anybody can do that at any time. And again, the website where you can find all of that is myboundlessbody.com.
Fabulous. Are you still recording like several times a week? Releasing episodes several times a week?
We're still on the cadence of every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 days a week. So I know. And you and I started on almost exactly the same day. So now, I've got 800 podcasts that we've released. Crazy. So.
Yeah, amazing. I do quite a lot of editing, so I know you don't do as much.
That's the difference. Yeah, that's the difference. I'm very minimalist. I'm getting the content out there. So your show sounds really nice, has such good production value. And mine might be a little bit rougher as far as that goes.
Yeah, but you're getting all the words out there.
There you go. Either way.
So are you going to leave us with 3 top tips?
Oh, we're doing this again. Yes, I will leave the listener with 3 top tips. I might change them a little bit from last time that I was on. So I'll do them in the same ascending order. So the number 3, I would say, I think last time we just talked about movement. This time I'll say find some strength training exercise snacks that you can do, some easy movements that are well tolerated. Keep a kettlebell around the house and maybe do some squats, or a band can be quite helpful to do some rows or anything like that, and try to sneak away for 60 seconds, 2 minutes during a break and try to get some exercise snacks in. The second one will be nutrition related, but I would just say prioritize protein and understand that the protein that you get from animals always comes with fat. So that's how it comes in nature. Where you and I live right now, there's not food growing that's available that we can go eat. It's not seasonal right now, but there are animals that can be used all year round. And so that's our best food, and that's how we thrive when we eat that food. So just focus on that, and again, decide how strict you need to be. And the number one thing, I used this one last time, I believe, but if I didn't, you don't take everything so seriously. Like, if you're doing this for a good reason, you're trying to improve your health, that's awesome. You're not going to do it overnight. Give it some patience, and just know that you're here on this earth for a really short amount of time. Stop taking things so seriously. Laugh, have a good time, try to de-stress, share. Just remember what things keep us human and make us human, because you never really know what's going to happen, how much time you have. So just try to enjoy life a little bit more, slow down if you can, smile, be kind, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the key to a good life, really. Agree.
And luckily the movement and the diet helps with the happiness, in my opinion. So
yeah, absolutely. Yep. And because when you feel better, everything shifts, doesn't it?
Agree. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was in I didn't think I was in a bad mental place, but I was.
Yeah.
So it's very different now.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Always a pleasure.
I really enjoyed this fun and wide-ranging chat with Casey. Whilst we didn't speak about anything in particular or specific, we seemed to cover a lot of topics, and I'm sure there's something there for you to take away. I always come away from our conversations feeling lighter, more inspired, and ready to double down on simple things that make a difference, like eating real food, moving more, and laughing often. If something in this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've ever had a duck egg disaster like we did, we'd love to hear that we're not alone. Thank you for listening. Disclaimer. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Our guests, whether healthcare professionals or not, are sharing their personal opinions and experiences. This does not establish a doctor-patient relationship. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before making changes to your medications, treatment, or lifestyle, particularly if you're on medication or have concerns about your health.